Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now, with ballistics done and dusted, what does this mean for the state's case? For some legal analysis, we're joined by legal analyst Kabelo Siabi. Kabelo, thank you so much for your time. Always a pleasure to have you. Let's talk about cross-examination or the evidence of Sireo. He says he verified Mangena's findings and reached the same conclusion. Do you think that this settles it?
Hello, Linda. The evidence of Serrero was very devastating for the defense of accused number 3, in that what has been established now is that the evidence of Lieutenant Colonel Mangena has been corroborated as to the fact that this is the firearm that matches the bullet which was recovered from the scene. And if I may take also a step backwards and to show why this is very devastating, is the fact that despite the defense raising all kinds of other theories about a 38 special, one must remember that the bullet that was recovered from the scene was recovered by the crime management police that attended the scene. And despite all the allegations about Lieutenant Colonel Mangena trying to nail, as it was used, to nail the accused, now this evidence, if it is taken in context, it points out that this was the gun that fired the bullet which was recovered from the scene. And again, it must be linked with another piece of evidence, which is that this gun was recovered from accused number 3. And most importantly, accused number 3 has already been convicted for the possession of that firearm. One must remember the incident that is on trial happened in 2014, and accused number 3 was arrested with a gun and has been convicted, meaning that it has already been established in a court of law that he was in possession of that gun.
And I mean, we heard evidence about the displeasure expressed by the defense, particularly when it comes to the handling of the firearm. Mangena tried extensively to explain the process. Do you think the defense succeeded in trying to create a level of doubt, maybe, that there may have, the firearm may have been substituted? I know you say, Sireo's evidence just nailed the defense, but do you think the judge could look at that particular evidence, specific evidence, and think perhaps there is something there to be said?
Again, Linda, the defense has not been able to make any leeway. One must remember that as far as the gun is concerned, when it was recovered from, as has been established, from accused number 3, test bullets were fired by rule of say. Now, that's the other piece of evidence that one must never lose sight of. Rule of say fired test bullets. Those test bullets were compared by Lieutenant Colonel Mangena with the scene bullet from Phosphorus that is in issue in the trial. And Colonel Mangena testified that the class characteristics of that bullet, of the scene bullet, matched the class characteristics of the test conducted by rule of say, as well as the fact that certain of the individual markings were there, but he could not make a conclusive finding. But the linkage between the bullets fired by rule of say dispels any issue about the gun having been substituted, because those bullets which were fired by rule of say, if they match the bullets that were fired by Mangena and they match the bullet that was recovered from the scene, the proposition that the gun was substituted or the gun is not the same gun falls away.
Interesting, interesting indeed. And I mean, you hear arguments about even the type of bullets that were used there. I remember Advocate mNISI saying that his findings couldn't have been proper because Mangena spoke about a bullet that was bent, and the TB4 and 8 that Sereo refers to did not have the same characteristics. And then it takes us back, really, to the theories, right, that Sereo spoke about in terms of how to identify those marks in the bullet.
Yes, Lieutenant Colonel Sereo explained that the South African Police Laboratory, they use pattern matching. And he was very eloquent in explaining how he arrived at the fact that the bullet matches. And if I may also draw your attention to the comment that was made by Advocate Ramosepede before sitting, if you remember, he actually complimented Sereo on the fact that he had given very precise and eloquent explanations about how he went about his work of matching. And again, one must remember the defense has got an expert witness, and that expert witness up to now has not said there is differences that exclude the same bullet as the bullet fired from that firearm. He doesn't say that. And that is another issue that the defense is going to struggle with.
And particularly when you speak about that defense expert, I mean, you'd recall that there was a test that was done that he said he used a different tool in that to show that another firearm could produce the same marks. But when Sereo was asked about it, he seems to dispel that notion. What does that do for the credibility, at least, of the defense expert?
Linda, the defense expert has not yet testified. One must wait and hear what he has to say. And obviously, one must then, in his evidence, look out as to what was his experience and what method did he go about making the examination he made, and how he is going to withstand cross-examination from the state before one can conclude as to whether he would be a good witness or not.
And I mean, we always have this conversation about what this piece of evidence means for this case. I mean, some argue, like I've previously said, that it's right at the heart of this case. But also when you look in, when you take into account the fact that accused number 4 and 5 have also somewhat attached themselves to accused number 3, specifically on that day. What does this really mean for them?
Look, Linda, the one thing that I can say definitively is that what the state is trying to show is that this firearm, which was used in October 2014, was recovered, I think it was February 2015, in the possession of accused number 3. And that puts accused number 3 to be in possession of a firearm which was used in the commission of the offense. That is what the state's case is trying to point out, to say that shortly after the murder, he was in possession of this firearm. Now, obviously, the issue then arises as if he was in possession of this firearm shortly after the event, where did he get it? He has not said that I only obtained the firearm a week before or 3 weeks before. And that is what the state is trying to lead to say that because he was in recent possession of the firearm after the crime was committed, therefore it points to him being the party that used the firearm at the crime.
And we're hearing that Advocate mNISI wants to have an opportunity to cross-examine the police officers who are assisting Mangena at the crime scene. This is when he had gone to the house, taking measurements. It's Ntini and Grobla. They did not depose, they deposed affidavits just merely confirming their participation, if I'm not mistaken, or just giving their opinions. How do you think those affidavits are going to assist him?
Ntini and Grobla work at the ballistic laboratory. They were approached by Lieutenant Colonel Mangena according to their affidavits, and he asked that they should look at the scene bullet and the 8 bullets that he had fired and make a comparison so that they can give Lieutenant Colonel Mangena an opinion as to whether there is a match or not. Now, those two, from the affidavits which were read out by Advocate Baloyi, the prosecutor today, it appears, on Friday, it appears that they confirmed that they are also formed the view after examining the exhibits against the scene bullet that there is a match, and that only piles the evidence that will tilt the scale to say that the state has established that the firearm that was found in accused number 3's possession is a firearm that shot the bullet which was recovered from the scene.
All right, Kabelo Siabi, always a pleasure to have you with us. That was legal analyst Kabelo Siabi, helping us understand and break down all of this and what it means for this case. Well, the state has handed in affidavits of police officers Ntini and Grobla who gave Mangena their opinions about his findings, agreeing essentially with what he found. But the defense wants to cross-examine them, so they've asked that they be called and put to the stand. In the meantime, the state also wants to bring Captain Bentley, who was at the scene just before Colonel Mangena took measurements the day after the shooting. But his health condition does not allow him to be able to testify, which means he will not be taking the stand. The matter then will resume on Wednesday. But you and I will catch up again next Sunday. Until then, stay tuned to Newsroom Africa for all things Senzo Meiwa Murder Trial. Until then, take care.